doing this, if I keep comparing life in Japan to Jamaica, I will never survive here. I will end up going home.
That's a word.
Yeah.
So the comparison. Right.
It's
Comparison is a thief of joy, but also if you're thinking about ackee and saltfish and breadfruit, and you're looking at a bowl of eel, like you're gonna have problems.
Eel is very nice, by the way.
Yes, but if you don't feel for that texture right now, that's gonna be a problem.
And that's exactly it. You have to be flexible. I mean, you have to be bendable. You have to be willing to try different things. You have to learn to tame your palate. For me, where food is concerned. And then, in terms of social interaction, as a Jamaican woman, I had to, not just as a Jamaican woman, but as Savanna, me, a woman growing up in Jamaica, having had all the experiences that I've had for those past 22 years, now coming into Japan, I've had to learn how to temper my own persona. Because before I went to Japan, I was a very expressive person. Like, I'd be laughing out loud in public. I wouldn't care how loud I'm laughing either. I was very effervescent. In Japan, you draw attention to yourself, unwanted attention to, if you just release that effervescent type of charisma, just in a regular conversation. You'd be seen as like a pariah. For them, yeah, there's a certain type of palate that they have in order to appreciate people.
So I have two questions.
Yeah.
First is, what did that feel like? Like, what did it feel like to actually consciously have to tone down how you naturally are? What did that feel like? And with that, because it's just not acceptable. It's not like you're international quirky girl with an accent. Like, no, like it's just not okay. Even if you're international, what did that feel like?
It didn't feel. I wouldn't say that somebody would literally point at me and say, "Yo, that's not acceptable." It's just socially you can feel the energy around you change, because of the way that you naturally are.
But I don't know what's worse is if somebody points and says, why is she doing that? Or if you literally feel around you people are different. Like, I actually think sometimes the covert is like when you experience racism. Sometimes the covert racism is worse because you cannot call it up. People gaslight you until you're crazy. It's not happening. Nobody has called you Gaijin, right? But you know what it means.
You feel the otherness there.
What does that word mean? By the way,
Gaijin is just
it's a thing, but it's translation.
Outsider, pretty much. You are not Japanese. If you are not Japanese, you are just this.
So are Hafu people considered Gaijin, or are they?
The Hafu literally are considered Hafu. Like,
okay.
They're somewhere in between being a Japanese person and Gaijin. They're not completely Gaijin, but they're just not completely Japanese either, which could sometimes feel.
Even though they're Japanese.
Even though they're Japanese, but
they're physically.
You listen. Physically, you could have lived your entire life in Japan, not gone anywhere else, look like me. The first thing people would ask you is, "Oh, where are you from?" Dude, I'm Japanese.
Right, like it doesn't occur to them like possibly.
I've lived my entire life here.
It doesn't occur to them possibly. Once you look other, then you are other.
Yeah.
That is a hard existence. I can imagine it is for people who all they've ever known is Japan. But okay.
Right.
So you're taking me through how that felt to be other. So you're saying that you felt that word that is almost like a slur, but it's not said to you. Okay, but you're surviving. You're doing okay. So you're dancing. You make it into the program. You're doing research now. And how is that? It's doing a master's. You transition into your PhD. Your girl published in her master's program, which most master's programs require that, but it doesn't always happen.
Right.
So that's a big deal. So you're productive.
Facts. You don't have a choice. Right. You have to be. And
you finished the master's in 2 years?
Yeah, I finished the master's in 2 years. I was the first author on one paper, and then I co-authored another. your girl was working. But that also comes with a lot of trade-offs as well. I mean, while my lab was super duper supportive, and alright, probably I should start from giving you a little context though. Another piece of what Japanese culture is like when it comes to work. What is glorified over there? In Jamaica, everybody's like, listen, you not work for dead. You understand? As soon as your work done, go enjoy yourself. Don't make that work kill you, don't make it stress you. Over in Japan though, what is glorified is people working hard. Now, I do appreciate that in the sense that you are here to do work, you need to try and be productive, but they take it to, I feel like it's taken to an extreme, because when a student stays in their lab up until 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the night, you come to your lab meeting 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's glorified by all of your colleagues and your professor. Oh, you're working so hard.
Yeah, that's not healthy.
It's
continuous and recurrent, and it's not unusual.
It's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable, and that is a graduate culture, right? That's in the US too, depending on the institution you're at, right? They glorify it, and they make it into jokes like, yeah, I was in the lab last night for my experiment. You just casually throw that out there, like, I was here all weekend and then go home for Thanksgiving, whatever it is, and it's like supposed to be a flex, but really it's not. It's because it's not sustainable.
I did not, and to be honest, I started to subscribe to that type of work culture, because I mean, it's around me. I'm here.
And you feel like you're really trying to get work done too.
And to be honest, I felt that unsaid pressure. If I left early, the worst thing you could ever do is look like you're lazy. If all of my lab mates are in the lab until like 7, 8 o'clock consistently during the week, who am I to be going home and relaxing?
Right.
You understand?
Right.
And
it's not really relaxing, because all the time you leave the lab, but you're thinking
about your work.
Thinking about what you read. You're synthesizing the information and all of that.
So and especially living on campus kind of like exacerbates that environment as well.
It's around the corner.
My lab was just a 2-minute walk from my dorm. My dorm was the closest to the entrance to the university.
That was a big great and bad weather days.
It was nice. Yeah, it's nice that I didn't have a commute. It's nice that I could literally just roll out of bed, get ready half an hour, and I'm in my lab. No problem. But it also meant I have 24-hour access to my work, and I can go in there whenever I feel the urge. And the tick did hit me, because as a woman, I wanted to make my mark. As a Jamaican woman, as a Caribbean woman that has never been enrolled at that university before, I felt like I was carrying a flagship with me.
So wait, clarification.
Yeah.
You were the first person of Caribbean nationality
to be enrolled
at that university.
Yeah.
Ever. Not just Jamaica.
Not just Jamaica.
Not just man or woman.
Man or woman.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did want to impress my professor. I didn't want him to feel like him accepting me was,
a bad decision.
I don't want to feel like, I wanted to be an asset and not a burden to the lab. You know, I really wanted to prove myself. I knew I had the ability, but I really wanted to shine. I really wanted to make my mark. And for me, my work ethic has always been like that. If I'm going to do something, I'm just going to go hard and done. There's no point in not giving it my all. So at the time, I didn't realize how unhealthy this thinking was, and this would take a toll on my mental health later when I talk about my PhD. But I was literally giving that master's every single thing I had in the fiber of my being. Like, I remember there were times where my friends and I would have like a little get together. Thank God for my friends on campus. We would have like a little get together in maybe like one of the refresh rooms on campus. And at 11 o'clock, I'll be like, all right, guys, I have a sample waiting for me in my evaporator. I need to go finish it up and make a device of it. They're like, what the hell, dude? I was like, yeah, I need to go because I'm planning to use these results for my paper. So,
which is fair.
Yeah, it is, right? Working hard is no problem, but for me, there was a point in my research where I was not drawing a line.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And the thing about it, which in an academic world, when it results in 2 papers in your master's, right? One first off and one co-author, it's like, well, but you paid off though. Yeah. So it's like you're almost, it's like the reward you should have a balance, but also when the reward is the papers, which is that's the currency.
Then you say that the means justifies the ends. Right.
Correct. And then it's what's the word? It causes you to keep doing it essentially until you kind of burn out.
That's exactly what happened to me. That transition from my master's to my PhD.
Okay.
So all of a sudden, I didn't have the energy anymore. I was losing interest. I was literally falling out of love with the science, like in that transition period from my master's to my PhD. And everybody, I don't think everybody understands how big of a disparity is between doing a master's and doing a PhD. In a master's, the impact of your work doesn't have to be, isn't required to be that high as a PhD. In a PhD, you're meant to, for both, you're meant to expand the wealth of knowledge in your field, but in the PhD, your work has to have a very big impact. Or else you just what's the point?
You're not going to finish it on your PhD.
Right. So I was grappling with expectations that I had put on my own self, mixed with the very unhealthy work habits that I formed for my own self. Self-doubt, imposter syndrome. I felt like I didn't really deserve to be here. And on top of that, at the time, my scholarship program had made a new rule. Apparently, if you don't have a straight A average in all of your classes, you are going to lose your scholarship and be sent home. Not sent home, but you're just going to lose your scholarship. What are you going to do after that? Nothing but go home. You know, so that new level of pressure was at the time just caving in on me at the beginning. And the first few months of my PhD, I was holding it together and I was holding it down. But I think around like month 5, I was really losing it. When I say I was losing it, my mental health was deteriorating badly.
And at this point, your mother is like, stop. Like she's crying with you, right?
No, not yet.
She's not crying with you because you're holding it together.
Hold on, no, I'm okay. The thing about my personality is I'm very good at putting up a front that I'm okay.
Okay.
Because in my mind, I feel like if I say it long enough,
it
will be true.
Right.
But there was a point where I just couldn't hide it. I could not hide it anymore. And I literally had to seek professional help. I had to take a break, an unofficial break from my research work and just work on piecing myself back together. And on top of that, COVID hit. So apart from it being a very isolating experience from just doing graduate work, on top of that, doing graduate work in Japan, where you can already, it's very easy for you to be self-isolated already. I mean,
you're authored by the society.
Not just being authored by the society, but doing things on your own by yourself. It's pretty easy to do. Even it's like a contradiction. Japanese people move in groups. If anybody was to make a decision about something, they're going to consult 5 other people. If you go into a bank and you're having a problem that one person can't solve, they're going to call down 4 other people to come and help them with this problem.
Okay.
So where solving problems are concerned, they work super well and efficient. Not I shouldn't say efficient. They work super well in a group.
It's a group activity.
Yeah. So remember I was mentioning the collectivist type of society that they have in terms of how they solve problems, how they deal with things, and self-sacrificing for the sake of making sure that making sure the collective works, right? At the same time, existing alongside that is the fact that it's very easy for you to just say, "Yo, man, I just want to do all of this alone." And I don't want to say that I will. No, I will say it. Nobody really checks in
on you.
Nobody really checks in.
As long as you're doing your role in the society or whatever.
You're good, but you're good. You're good this stuff. You know what I mean? And
so
for that
reason,
about
seeing the person.
It's just wanting to know. It's just wanting to know the work is being done. That's
honestly, I'm hearing it about Japanese, and I'm learning. We're learning that today about Japanese society. But in the graduate space, that's not uncommon as well.
That's not uncommon.
And in a PhD, it's very isolating because you become that expert on that one thing. So that's isolating, and then you have the social thing as well with you being an international student and all of that. But with all of that, you finished a PhD in 3.5 years.
I mean, okay, when you do your graduate work, even up to a PhD in Japan, you're considered a student. I know in like the West, we're considered employees.
Well, you're
sort of
when it suits them.
Yes, but in Japan, a PhD program is 3 years.
Oh, okay.
It is 3 years. That's it. It is what it is, and that's
so it doesn't just carry on.
No. I know, like for some universities on this side, you just done when you're done.
Right.
You just finish.
Okay. That's the school I'm coming from.
Right.
Got you.
But in Japan, like you have like your program is 3 years. Now some people extend beyond that. They try to avoid people extending. I had to extend for 3 more months because of the mental issues that I was having, which by the way is a very taboo topic.
You can't bring it up, so Prince Islands. So Prince Islands.
Yes.
I want to touch you right now because I'm feeling what you felt, and you're here today. And I'm not.
You know what? I've made my peace with it. I've made my peace. I think if you were asking me this like a few months ago, I probably would be sitting here sobbing in front of you.
No, I want to cry because I know what it is, and like you're at that point where you're like, bro, what does everything even mean?
I don't know what I'm doing.
What does it
How am I going to trick these people in letting them think I know what I'm doing?
Right.
Is what I'm doing even is it even important? Does it even matter? I theoretically know where my work fits into the big picture, but is my contribution like 5-10 years from now even going to matter to anybody? Why does anybody want to hear from me? Am I even how do I measure up to people that have been in this field for 30 odd years? I don't deserve to be here. Those are the intrusive thoughts of somebody like that's grappling with
with a PhD.
I'm so sorry. I'm getting a little emotional right now.
It's okay. It is a hard thing, and it's not the kind of going through graduate school is a traumatic experience. Also doing it outside of your home, you don't have your family support. At that point, you hadn't been home for 4 years, right? That is a long time.
Yeah, because of course you can't. Well, at the end of my PhD, I hadn't been home for 4 years, but I traveled home. I think at the end of 2017, end of 2018. After that, COVID, no more traveling till 2022. So I hadn't been physically near my family for that time, and up until that point in my life, they were my main source of just grounding in general. You know, that was my support system, and all of a sudden, I don't have physical access to them. What?
Your time difference too, so when you want to talk to
it's
not
so
like
hard.
It's very hard.
Like coordinating a 14-hour time difference is
very hard. So you can't even say you have a regular. You might have a regular time.
We settle into our routine. Like they either call me either early morning. When I say early morning, like 5-6 o'clock for them, or late night for them.
Right.
And that's alone. Early morning, you just wake up. Late night, you just don't work.
And depending on what the day is for the person,
exactly.
it's hard.
It's hard.
So, yeah. All right.
No, I want to talk about it because in Japan, talking about mental health and cultivating a healthy environment for having a balance in your life is something that is taboo. I had to find a therapist online. I feel like Japanese therapy, from my experience with Japanese therapy was like putting a band-aid on it. It just, it was literally a lady sitting in a room and I said, okay. I need you to help me, please.
As opposed to just let me talk.
Right.
That's not, I need help.
I'm not just here to words vomit. I mean, yes, verbal diarrhea is good to get out whatever you need to get out, but at the end of the day, I need to learn how to fix this. Like, help me to unravel the yarn in my head. So I had to literally go online to find a therapist, and I did that therapy for about 3-4 months or so. In which time I did not go to any classes. I wasn't in the lab. I literally was just at such a bad state that I felt like I had no more room on my plate, but just to piece myself back together. My depression looked depression looks different for everybody, but for me, it was self-isolation. It was
did it immobilize you? Were you able to get up and go eat in the cafeteria, or were you?
You know what? It got to the point where I was either sleeping for like 14, 15 hours. So by the time I knew I needed to get up to actually move my muscles, it was exhausting just to go to the cafeteria and eat something. I remember in the height of my depression, I was tired from just doing that. Because there were days where I would literally just stare at my ceiling for 14 hours, or you just sleep for 20. I would eat for the whole day, or there were days where I would just not eat anything. I had no interest in talking to my friends. I just couldn't bring myself to that social place where I could converse.
Especially
with people.
when you said you're a person who you will want to project, right, for other people's feelings, but you want to be okay for them.
Right.
So when you don't have the energy to do that, then you're just gonna be avoiding them.
Yeah, and something else I didn't even realize either, that I did have people pleasing tendencies. And I didn't realize that until all of this hit. So my friends would reach out to me. I was like, you know what, guys, I'm just tired, and I would literally try to find excuses to not get out of my room. And it's embarrassing to say, but I used to lie and say, oh guys, I'm really busy.
It's not embarrassing.
No,
I'm sorry, I can't tell you not to feel embarrassed.
Yeah,
it was me.
It's fine.
What I'm trying to say is it's
my feelings are valid.
Valid.
Yeah, you're just trying to validate
Yes.
me at the time. And I was like, yo guys, I'm working. Meanwhile, I can't go open a book. I just wanted to go home. Honestly, if I'm honest, and I don't think I've ever admitted this to anybody, and I'm okay with admitting it now because I've made my peace, but I was at the point where I wanted to just go home. I wanted to quit my PhD and just go home. What was keeping me from going back or admitting to people that I wanted to was the disappointment I would face. I mean, I'm sure.
Or disappointing people is what you mean, or disappointment for yourself.
I think both, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah. I regretting something is not something I ever want to put myself in the position to face. And then I also just don't want to disappoint my parents either, because they've invested so much in me up until this point. Like, I mean, I told you how supportive they've been up until this point.
And also, you told me that they didn't go to university, right?
My mom went to community college. My dad, alright, when I was talking about my family, I meant like my immediate family. Like my mom, my stepdad, my aunts, my cousins, blah, blah, blah. My dad, I consider like another half of me, you know what I mean? Because he's in that sphere. But he went and studied over in the UK, did his master's over there, but nobody in my immediate
household,
in my immediate household and who extended from there had ever done like a professional degree. So I was just like,
you wanted to bring it home.
I really
like you
did.
can't go so far and just like come back with them.
I mean, I had the masters in my hand, but for me that wasn't end game.
That's where
it wasn't end game. I was like, there's so much more that I can do. And this PhD was the avenue for me to do exactly that. And that and between conversations with my parents, who bless them, kind of saved my life. Got me to therapy.
Big up mommy and daddy.
Big up mommy and daddy. My two daddy them.
Two dads.
The two daddy them.
And the extended family.
Big up the whole of them. Honestly, my village. My village is something else. Trust me. They must something else for you.
Yeah.
But they saved my life because I was ready to just
pack up. So okay, they helped you. You're done. You decide you want to come home. You're home. Like you need home.
I felt like
what does that feel like?
I feel like I've been saying a lot of negative stuff about Japan. Can I just insert like some really positive stuff about Japan?
Go ahead. Tell me what you learned. Tell me what you feel is positive.
Alright, so I'll tell you about stuff outside of my academic life. I'll tell you a little bit about my social life in Japan. So I was in a Yosakoi dance group.
Ooh, what's that?
Now, alright. pause. I should not have been dancing, but after my therapist was like, listen, you need to start creating a space, creating an environment for yourself that mirrors when you were truly happy. When I had both my academic side and my creative side of myself both being satisfied, I was the happiest clam on earth.
Yeah.
So I was like, listen, I need to find a niche. I need to find something.
Got you.
So a friend of a friend got me into, I used to play a dance group. And let me tell you something, that was something else. Okay, Yosokoi dancing is like, it's traditional type, it's a traditional form of Japanese dancing.
Okay.
We use what we call, I think in Jamaica we call them clackers, right?
Like flamenco?
No, not flamenco. I could show you, I could send you photos so you can insert of what those clackers look like. So we dance with those, and it's a big thing. Like we do competitions all over Japan, and you have different groups coming out of different cities. And when I say these groups are big, my group probably had like 50 odd people in there. And you invest in your costumes. Each costume is like about 20,000 Jamaican dollars, 25,000, but it's like a proper dancing kimono. It's really nice. If there's one thing I would always tell people that I love about Japan is how well they work in groups. When a group of Japanese people get together and say, yo, them do this, best believe that every single person giving 150%. It's that togetherness and that energy that they coordinated so well. Apart from that, Japanese people are 99 out of 100 times you are very much going to find a person that is super, super kind in Japan. I've never felt threatened physically. That violence is just not a thing. I mean, they have very strict gun laws in Japan. As a woman, I can walk on the streets in big Tokyo at 3 a.m. in the morning and not feel no way. Like it's very, very safe there. Not to say that women don't experience some type of domestic violence, because there are cases of those happening, but they're so far and very few between. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, life in the countryside in Japan is quite chill. If that's what suits your personality.
Yeah.
You can just go to the supermarket, get your stuff, maybe like have to haggle with a little old lady that's staring at you weird, because there are people in the countryside in Japan that have probably never seen black people before. I remember one time I was walking on the street and a little boy was pointing to my hair. And I knew at that point there were two ways I could react to this moment. I could be like, yo, what the sorry. I could be like, what the hell? Or this could be a teaching moment for that kid that has probably never seen a black person in their life. So I remember reaching down, I remember like just tilting my head so he could, and he literally just felt up my hair. Yes, good. That means like, wow, oh my gosh. And his mom was like, oh, that means like, excuse me, you know, she didn't mean for her child to be so curious. I was like, oh, no, it's fine, it's cool.
Yeah.
You know, and I just remember him walking off and just like staring at my hair like, oh my
She'll
God.
never forget.
Never forget either.
I don't know if I would let you touch it, but kudos to you.
It's these kids never really get, how often are they going to have that kind of interaction?
Unless they leave, which a lot of people don't realistically.
Right. So. And a lot of them don't have opportunities for international, you know, interactions.
100%.
So I really hope that his mother taught him, like, listen, it's not good to just like go up to people and grab them here, but you need to understand that there are certain places in the world that their hair is not going to be straight like ours. Their skin can be darker than ours too.
And I think this is always, every time this comes up, I look at you as a like medium to lighter skin person, and I think to myself, I like a less coily texture of hair, and I always get fascinated. I'm always like, bro, like if you experience some of these things, like what's it like for someone who's like West African or looking more like of West African?
My best friend was from Kenya, and I had friends from Nigeria, friends from Kenya, Germany, Indonesia, all everywhere, you know, and us particularly always get that kind of reaction, especially when we're all just walking in. a bunch of black people.
Yeah.
With curly hair. What the hell?
Right.
Weird.
I get that. 100%.
But yeah, I mean, infrastructure in Japan too.
Yeah.
Oh god, that just works. Like clockwork. I mean, a pothole could show up today, tomorrow, you're not see it. I mean, even though the government system has you go through like a lot of paperwork, like as much as people would think that Japan is very technologically advanced, if you go in an average government office, it's piled high to the roof worth of paper.
And that's for a reason, right? Those things are to ensure there's process. So it's yes. It can always be improved, but that's for a process.
Right.
Okay.
There's go ahead.
So you had good things, you had good experiences. Yes, in Japan, in and so you're now age 22 and you're done and you're coming out. Like you have things now. You're a young adult, you bought things, right? What did you pick up? Did you leave things? Like what does that mean?
Oh yeah, that's half my life over there. Of course, I mean I had to ship a few things, but I left a lot of my life that I was in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
I just left it there. I'm not the type of person to just hoard a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very willing to let go, and it was, for me, it was symbolic of shedding one chapter of my life to make way for new stuff in my life. Also, I mean, I did not bring back, I don't think I walked with any of the clothes that I came back with. Because your life changes, your body changes, your style changes and whatever, but half of my life I left in Japan, really. Of course, I didn't accumulate a lot of stuff, especially when you live in a 12 square meter dorm room, which is probably a little less than the size of this room was my entire life. That was my space for 5 years. So coming back was stressful, actually. In Japan, you have to go through a lot of paperwork to like close your bank accounts, close your credit cards, close your phone. Make sure you're not going to be paying anymore for health insurance or whatever, which works really well in Japan. Everybody has the same health insurance scheme. You only pay 20% of whatever bill it is. Amazing. And just trying to get everything together, ship whatever I need to ship. It was stressful. I feel like getting ready to come back home was physically and mentally exhausting. You know, I was excited to come back home to see everybody that I haven't seen in a very long time. But having to say goodbye to the friends and the life that you made in a country for 5 years was hard. Even though it wasn't all rainbows and unicorns, you've adjusted yourself into a habit.
That was your life.
That was your entire life. And now you're going to have to come back home and turn that all the way upside down to try and reintegrate yourself, even though it's home, reintegrate yourself into a society that you have not had to deal with for 5 years. So that was tiring, but
right.
I'm
home. What does that mean?
here.
You told me. I mean, people who don't know Jamaicans, like we work, so we're not at the beach 7 days a week. But you told me when you were back, you were like at the beach, in a week. You know, you were on a holiday, right?
Coming back to Jamaica was a celebration for me. People would think it's a celebration of, getting your PhD. No, for me it was surviving all of that to getting a PhD. When people don't understand, when you go away to study and you finish, yes, you get a piece of paper, but what you come back with is a whole lot more. You come back with so much more than just a degree. You come back with a new appreciation for life, for a new appreciation for people in your life. Your entire mindset has changed. I mean, that punch in Japan grew me in my most productive years of life, from 22 to 28.
Right. So I was going to finish. I was going to say it's also at that juncture in time where you're a young adult, you're going out by yourself, and this is what now adulthood looks like for you. You're supporting yourself, you're acquiring your own taste, your own preferences as an adult, and developing in that way.
And for me, it was because I was always very living in Jamaica. I was always very sheltered by the cushion of my family. It was now forming my own identity for the woman that I want to be. And
yes.
How am I going to shape myself for ideally for the woman I ideally see myself be? What does that even look like? So in that, I feel like being here is a part of that.
Right.
It's a part of satisfying that aspect of my life. But I was talking about like what I was doing as soon as I came back to Jamaica. Yeah, for the first month, I was all over the place. I was on the beach, I was going out. I would be at the beach on a Monday and say, I have to go outside Tuesday. So I did tomorrow, Wednesday. So it was literally like a non-stop party for the first month that I was here, catching up with family and friends. But after that, I was just like, okay, life. Now that up until this moment, it was just my primary focus was just coming home, enjoying being home. Now I need to deal with what's going on in my life. What's going on for my career? And the question that I had was, I don't know. All of a sudden, up until this point in time, I knew exactly what the next step was. I had not made any preparations at all for this new stage in life. Frantically, I was applying on LinkedIn everywhere. I didn't really care what the job was, whether it was academic or industry. I just needed a job and I needed it now. So my LinkedIn venture went a little something like this. I would apply for like 50 jobs and then wake up to 50 rejections. You know what I mean? So LinkedIn didn't work out for me. I had very little contacts on this side. All of my contacts were in academia in Japan. I knew I didn't want to stay there. Didn't really want to make a life there. I needed to be back home for now. So nothing really came through until contacted Dr. Penn at the Department of Physics at the University of the West Indies. Asking if there were any post-job plug. Just asking if anything was available, and luckily he was quite happy to get my email and to get back in touch with me, and whatever apparently what I was doing was very, very needed in the department. And of course, material science has always been my baby. My bachelor's, my master's, and my PhD, all of them, material science. I don't know nothing else. So naturally, I'm here.
Yeah. And so you're feeling fulfilled here right now, teaching students.
Yeah, I've always loved teaching. I taught at Camden for a little bit while I was doing my MPhil here for like a few months. That was to save up money to go to Japan. And I used to teach kids dancing as well as a little side hustle when I was in like high school, when I was in undergraduate and university. So I've always loved teaching, but I think teaching at the tertiary level is the thing for me. And what I love is how much not just creative freedom, but how much content freedom I have with how it is, with how I'm delivering my lectures and stuff. I do feel it's my personal responsibility as somebody that has studied abroad and that has had the experience of studying here, that I give these students the best of both worlds. You know what I mean? And I can feel that difference shifting every single time I'm delivering a lecture. There's nothing, honestly, when I'm lecturing, it is nothing more fulfilling than seeing them connect the dots.
Yes. You see the light bulb go on.
I don't know, there's something about that just kind of makes me feel giddy. Makes me feel like I'm at a conference and I just done give a talk and people are clapping. That feeling is just a kid to each other. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I haven't quite gotten my research project started up yet, but what's nice in the physics department, you always have support.
Yeah.
People are always willing to help once you ask for it.
Right.
So, that should, we'll see how that shapes out. I'm going to try and make sure it shapes out nicely. But for now, I'm honestly really enjoying being here.
Okay. Yeah. That's awesome. All right, so I want you to look directly into the camera and I want you to give people 3 tips for repatriation. So when they've been away for a while and they want to go home, 3 tips.
Okay, coming back?
Yeah.
That's a hard one. I can give tips for like when you're going, but for
3
coming back. Okay. Tip number 1, when you're coming back home, I would strongly suggest you have a plan. Don't be like me and just say you have a plan vibes. Try and sort something out in preparation for you coming back home. Number 2, take time to enjoy your home. There's a new appreciation you may have after living away for so long. It's an opportunity for you to rediscover who you are in your home country. Number 3, what would I say? sorry, I have to think about this.
That's fine.
Yeah. For coming back home,
save money. You did say you saved that whole year worth of stuff, but that's also goes to the first point about being prepared. So you don't have to get that. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, everybody's financial situation is different. That's just me having common sense.
So
maybe I could say that as number 3 too. I don't know
That's
why
totally
it didn't
fair.
I don't know why it didn't really occur to me to say it. I thought everybody would just assume that yes, they need to save money.
No.
All right. If you don't have a plan though, and you're coming back home, it's very good to save up your money. I would strongly suggest at least 6 months to cushion you for a job, especially if you're going to be relying on LinkedIn. Life can always go left, so you just want to make sure that you're financially prepared for things to not go according to plan. So yeah.
Awesome. And then the very last thing we want to do today, we want to learn something. So you texted me earlier and you said no problem. Is there a way to say that in Chinese, or stereotypical no problem, Bon? Can you do something like that? Or what's another phrase that you could say in Japanese that's like that?
No problem. Not really. Alright, the phrase that I really wanted to, that I think is most fitting, in Japanese culture, whenever they're about to take on a new endeavor or something, they're always telling you, okay, do your best. That's kind of like standard in whatever you're doing. There are different ways to say it, but I think the easiest way for people to say it is ganbatte.
Ganbatte.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you can maybe ganbatte. Yeah, that's like everybody saying, all right, we're gonna do our best. Ganbatte.
As a group.
Yeah.
Because they're group people. I love that.
Yeah, but every time it builds morale.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
No problem.
Okay.
Alright, so maybe I'll just say what my name is. So should I say it in English and then
Yes,
in
please. Because we're gonna do
Japanese?
subtitles.
Oh, nice. So alright, I'll probably say it in Japanese first. Watashi no namae wa Savanna desu. That means my name is Savanna. And normally after somebody introduces themselves, they would say yoroshiku onegai shimasu. That means nice to meet you.
Oh, thanks for watching this episode of Repat Stories. Thanks to Dr. Savanna for telling us so much about her experience in Japan, and we hope you learned something today. Join us next time as we learn more about persons who have traveled abroad and come back home.